Okay, so today we're going to talk about domain and range of a function and how we can identify those. And so here I've got some things already written out, so I'm just going to erase it so that we can restart things here. So a few different types of graphs require different types of domain and range. We are going to start with the scatter plot because that's one we've already talked about in previous videos. So a scatter plot is one where you have individual dots and they are not connected by a line. And so that's like this one here that I've circled. So what we're going to do for our domain and range is we are going to write out D, a semicolon here, and then range and a semicolon here. Just as a reminder, whoops, domain is all possible x values. And this is all possible y values. Okay, back to domain and range. For a scatter plot, we are going to draw those squiggly little brackets and we are going to list the x values and the y values that we see here. And so for our domain, we have 1, we have 3, we have 6, and we have 8. For our range, we have 3, 5, another 3, which we're not going to rewrite, and then we have a 6. Okay, so this is the domain and range of a scatter plot here. We also call these discrete values. Okay, down here, let's talk about a linear equation. So a linear is when we usually have two dots that are connected by a line. This line tells us that any of these numbers along this line are possible. Any real numbers along this line are possible. Okay, all along this line are possible. So what we are going to do now is write out our domain and range just like we started before. So we're going to write the domain and the range, a semicolon. But this time, because all of those possible values, all of those values between those two numbers are possible, we're going to start with the lowest number that we see. So for our x, that's a 1 right there. And we're going to include this greater than or equals to sign. And then we're going to write x, and then we're going to write our largest number up at the top, which is that's our y value, which is 4 in this case. Another greater than or equal to value and 4. So what this says here is that our x is in between or equal to 1 and 4. So any numbers that are greater than 1 and less than 4 are going to be a possible x value for our domain. And we're going to do the same thing for range. So, but this time I'm going to put the y in the middle, and I'm going to put the greater than or equals to signs here. And then I'm going to look at my y values. So my first possible y value, my lowest is 3, and my highest is 8. So this is my domain and range for this linear equation here. A linear equation like this that goes off of the map usually has an arrow. This arrow is a lot smaller, so I redrew it for you guys. But this here, we're going to treat it the same way. So domain and range. And we're going to start with our lowest possible x value, which we know is 0. So our x is going to be greater than or equal to 0, but less than or equal to a positive infinity. And same thing with our range. We're going to look at what's our lowest possible range? Well, we don't know because it continues off the graph in that direction. So it's going to be negative infinity is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 6. Okay, because that is our highest value up here. So this infinity we use when our values are unknown negatives or small whoops, not small, or positives. And our line continues with an arrow. Okay. Last example here is this one. This one is a curved line with an open circle here. That open circle is something very important. So when we do our domain and range, what we've been doing so far is including that equals sign. So the less than or greater than it equals to. That is this little line right here that I've highlighted. What I'm gonna do is still start with my lowest possible x value, which in this case is -3. Don't forget your negatives. And then instead of putting this equals to sign here, I'm gonna leave that without it because this open circle is telling me that the number 4 is not included in this graph. However, I need to include everything up to it. So I can't write 3 and I can't point 3.9 because anything up until right before 4 is a possible value for this graph. So the same thing here. My lowest possible y value is 0 and my highest possible y value is almost 4. So that's my domain and range. So a filled in circle is value is included. And an empty circle is value is not included. Okay, so this is gonna mean we have a greater than and equals to, and this is gonna just be a greater than sign. If we keep doing things this very consistent way, we will never have any issues messing things up. We just have to pay attention to those little details there. All right, that's it for today.